You ask, what does living your understanding really mean? So in your contemplation, Ananda, let's say that we start with a belief structure. We live according to the belief that's in ignorance. We live according to the belief that I am immortal body-mind, and the other is a separate consciousness. And so we usually live in ignorance according to those principles. We perceive ourselves as being an event in time that is aging and is bound to die. And we live according to that belief. Now, in the contemplation of truth, the contemplation that we do in satsang and the contemplation that you do in your life, you question those beliefs. You question, is this what is real? Is it true according to my experience, not according to the beliefs that I have inherited, but according to my experience? Is it true that I am a limited entity? And it is possible in your contemplation, if your contemplation goes a long way, if you persevere in your contemplation, and if you are conducting the right contemplation, you will come to a new understanding. The understanding being that I am consciousness, I am awareness, and that this I that is awareness is the same I of everybody. In other words, there is only one I, one awareness, one consciousness. That understanding is a revolutionary understanding from the point of view of ignorance. That's sort of, it's a blasphemy.
Bizarre, yes.
So to live according to your new understanding, meaning to live according to not the belief, but the clarity or the understanding that I am this awareness, I am this aware presence, and that this aware presence is universal and borderless. So in relating to people, in relating to others, you're relating to yourself. Yeah? You're perceiving the other as just yourself. You know, it's like in your hand, you have 5 different fingers, but they're really one hand. So you relate to all the fingers as this one hand. You know, every finger has a different shape, different size. But irrespective of those apparent differences, you are perceiving beyond the apparent. You're perceiving through the appearance to the heart, to the core, to the oneness, to the love, to the freedom, to consciousness. So you're relating with the other as consciousness. So in your life, you don't judge yourself. Given that you are the same consciousness, it makes no sense to blame the other. It's like blaming yourself is really, you know, quite futile to be doing that. You don't mistreat yourself. So like Jesus, I think, said that treat the other like you treat yourself or something like that?
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's it. So Jesus said something like that. That's in a way living according to that principle, and also in terms of your own thinking. Whenever there is a thought that arises that says, "Oh well, why did she do this to me?" or "Why did I do that to myself? Why did I should have done something different." Mm-hmm. The I that is being referred to in these thoughts is the person, is not the I of consciousness. So whenever these thoughts arise, the way to live according to your understanding is not to maintain, not to buy into, to question, these sort of old thoughts and old patterns, and to come back to what is real, which is the dimensionless presence, the infinite being, infinite beingness. And also in terms of how you perceive yourself, rather than perceiving yourself as a limited body, a mass, some kind of form. You perceive yourself as consciousness that perceives. So it's a shift in your perception from rather than downloading a gross body. Let's say you're downloading the universal body, universal beingness. You're downloading consciousness. And so many occasions somebody cuts you off in traffic, rather than acting out, you treat it, you deal with it with openness. It's like, okay, you slow down to let them through. You don't insult them, or you treat, you live according to the high principles of consciousness, which are understanding, intelligence, love, compassion, empathy, patience, tolerance, all the values, all the beautiful human values. You live according to those, because the beautiful human values, the ones that we really love, are divine values. So so in a way, you're like a chameleon. You metamorphose into, you take on the qualities of consciousness. Initially, it might take some reminding, some sort of recollecting, and at some point it's less and less recollection, becomes more and more natural to say, hey, okay, so what? Oh, it's okay. You want to get ahead of the line? Oh, please go. Please, no problem. I don't know what your situation is. You're in a hurry. Oh, please, go ahead. It's okay. There is ample room here. You see.
Yeah, I see that the answer you're giving takes it right to a level of, a cosmic level of living. What does living mean, as opposed to just the determining a course of action, one step at a,
Yes.
It's where it's coming from. I see that in your answer. Yes.
Yeah. You see,
that's great.
Our behavior follows our thoughts. Our assumptions. So our behavior doesn't lead. There is like you think of going to Florida, then you start taking some actions to travel to that state. So if you take upon yourself the qualities of consciousness, then your behavior will have that effect. Will be blessed that way. Of course, it's really as much as possible to also contemplate what is it that is real in your experience, meaning right now.
What was I missed the word. What is
it that is real? What is the reality?
Yes.
The reality of your experience. So like right now, the reality of your experience, there is this perception.
Yes.
But that perception gets its reality from whatever perceives it. Because a perception without its knowingness doesn't even exist. So you always go to your experience, and you find that in your experience, the reality of your experience, whether it's a perception, a thought, a mentation, a bodily sensation, the reality of all these events is consciousness. And this consciousness has no form and no shape. It's undeniable, and it's not local. It's not local. This local impression appears in it. The fact that a local impression, a local perception appears in consciousness does not mean that consciousness is local. A good example of that is right now you're perceiving this perception on the screen, yes?
Yes.
It may appear that the perception on the screen is actually local to the screen. But in fact, it is at the CPU level. It is the CPU, the central processing unit, that is through the computer technology that is emitting a signal. So the source of this image that seems to be local is not local. You see? Or a good example is, for example, like when you're listening to a radio station. Okay, the station that you're listening to on that particular radio seems to be quite local. But the fact is, the music that you're listening, the source of that music could be downtown LA.
Yes.
You see? Right? So in the same way, whatever is perceived has a local impression, but this does not mean that the consciousness that perceives and that knows this perception is local.
I'm a little trouble following your example, because in the example, the input, the perceivable, was coming from a distance.
Yes.
To a perceptive place. Yes. Now you're saying the perceptive place itself is not local.
No, there is a local impression here.
Yes.
A local impression is what is perceived. Yes.
Okay.
So right now, for example, this room,
yes,
the room that you're perceiving right now is local. It has a local impression.
Yes.
A specificity to it.
Yes.
There is a Cartesian plane to it. There is a y and x axis, there are dimensions to it, a specific dimensionality to it.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the perceived, at the perceived level. Yes. Yes, that we can recognize.
Yeah.
But this does not imply that the perceiver, that what perceives that, is also is Cartesian, is local.
Yes. Got it.
So that opens you up to the possibility that consciousness, that through which every phenomenal experience is known, meaning consciousness, it opens you up to the possibility that consciousness, although the impression, the phenomenal impression is local,
yes,
consciousness is universal.
Yeah, that's great. another wonderful way of just being open to wider quality of reality.
Yes.
I hear you. Yes. Yes.
And if you contemplate, for example, in your own experience, which is always right now,
Mm-hmm.
where is consciousness located? You will not find an answer to this question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can find an answer to the question, where are these glasses located? They're located on this table. Where is the table located? The table is located to the right, to the right of this armchair.
Mm-hmm.
That, yes. But when you ask the question, where is knowingness located?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot find a location. You can only come back to I as consciousness. I, the universal I.
Mm-hmm. It just occurred to me that, if often in conversation somebody will say, "Oh, well, that process it seems to be centered here, and behind my forehead or something," but when I check in, that's just a concept
Yes,
being referred to. It's not really the experience.
yes, yes. There is that belief
Mm-hmm.
that consciousness is located in the brain, or slightly behind the eyes, or in somewhere around the face. That is a belief. This belief that consciousness is located in the face or behind the eyes is easily forgiven and understood,
Mm-hmm.
given that the most of the senses
Mm-hmm.
are are
It's
located. Yes, are located in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So we confuse the senses, meaning we confuse the sensory input with consciousness. We confuse the senses with, meaning the mind. The senses, meaning that the instrument of perception, of hearing, tasting, seeing, etc. We confuse that with consciousness. Consciousness is what knows
Mm-hmm.
for example, the perception through the sensory apparatus we refer to as the ocular system, or the auditory system, listening to music or listening to the birds singing. Consciousness. Yes.
Olfactory.
Yes, olfactory. Also, también. So the knowing is confused with the known.
And that's
Knowingness is being confused with the known.
and that's the primary problem with believing in a limited subjectivity.
Yes, it is a confusing consciousness with mind.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we imagine, we believe that the reality is, we attribute the reality to the mind. We attribute the reality to the world, to the body, to thoughts, and we omit the reality of consciousness. Say, oh, consciousness is some abstract thing. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. So we have confused, we've mixed up the reality of consciousness and gave it to the mind. And so therefore, because the world is constantly changing, an earthquake comes and all the city is gone, because the world and the mind and the body are changing.
Yes.
Then we believe that consciousness is changing. So it's important to come to your experience and realize that there is an unchanging quality. There is a changeless quality to presence. There is a changeless quality right now. And it's this changeless quality that perceives this perception. And it's completely free of what it perceives. It's complete freedom. Freedom is the highest attribute, the highest quality of consciousness.
Mm. Interesting you say that, because I think freedom, beauty, love, they're kind of like Satchit and Ananda, all one thing.
Yes, yes,
They
yes.
all have to come together.
Yes, they're the Ananta.
But thank you so much for clarifying
Yes,
that.
okay, Ananda, beautiful. Nice talking to you. Thank you for your question. Beautiful. You think, writes, living the understanding can be at times hard to do when there is a habitual way of thinking or some kind of wound that formed a restricted pattern. Do you think the healing on the psychological level is valuable? Is this the process of embodying the truth? Healing on the psychological level. You think the body mind healing occurs at the body mind level. It does not touch that other level of consciousness. Consciousness is complete freedom, lacking nothing, not on any mission, not trying to improve itself, because it is not a thing. It has no, it's not in the phenomenal realm. Healing is at the phenomenal realm. Healing is at the psychological realm, at the physical realm, at the emotional realm. But none of these realms concern consciousness or touch consciousness or are a path to consciousness. It is your love for consciousness, your love for truth, that burns through all seeming obstacles. Your passion for truth, your perseverance, and your uncompromising dedication to truth. When you knock on the door is answered. Now, if you go into psychological trauma and various old wounds, which means you're going into the mind, you're going into thought and into memory and interpretations, you will find an endless it's a chamber of mirrors. There are every door you open, there is another door to open, another door to open, another door to open. And it is helpful at the body-mind level. In other words, if you have a tendency to blame yourself, Maybe because when you were a young person, you were being, you picked up that pattern. It may be helpful for you through therapy and through certain modalities to free yourself from that pattern, so that you cease blaming yourself and you're able to sort of live in the world without that specific ailment. But this is not what the non-dual path is. It's not about improving your life. It's not about solving your problems. It's about the revelation of truth, the revelation of the causeless peace and happiness that you are. It is about shedding the entire realm of ignorance, which means the identification with the body-mind. As long as you believe yourself to be a man or a woman, you are in trouble. You are in the belief system. You are in the limitation. You are in the separation. And you feel that. You feel this separate me. Because the body is sensitive. It's part of the body-mind, is one whole. When the mind is contracting into I am this person, the body also says, yes, I am this person. And it's that unexamined belief, Yutin. It is that examined belief that maintains the sense of separation. So when you believe that you are a separate consciousness, then the world you will perceive as external. You will perceive an external world and you will perceive external others. So your experience, because the belief in separation, the belief that consciousness is limited, has not been examined, your experience confirms separation. So the path is to examine your belief, your core belief, that I am a mortal body-mind. So you ask yourself, is it true that I meaning this aware presence, is it true that I, this aware presence, is limited to a body-mind? Is there any evidence for that? Is that a fact, or is that just an inherited belief? Is it a feeling, or it's a fact? So first, you need to contemplate, what am I truly? And you contemplate what am I truly by looking directly at your experience right now. What is it that is real right now? Is it not awareness? Is it not presence? Is it not consciousness? Whatever you perceive through consciousness. It is consciousness that makes any perception, thought, or sensation possible. So you ask yourself, what is it that is real? Am I not real, I as consciousness? You don't need to dig into the past. You can let it go. You can do a fresh contemplation. That is, if you're interested in truth. But if you're interested in improving yourself and having a better life, that's a different issue. You could have a so-so better life by, I don't know, doing psychological analysis and training in various skills that can give you a better life. If you like traveling, or if you like large homes, or if you like a lot of friends and social life, etc. That's a different topic altogether.
Yeah, but for me, I feel like these two are intricately connected. I actually had a awakening experience when I clearly see what you talked about, but later it felt like I lost it. But I know that loss is not true, though I do not feel it very clearly at this moment. And I see lots of old way of thinking coming back. And it feels like my mind is an empty space, but it has lots of weed that distract me from embodying the truth that I had already seen.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know if I understand you correctly. It's like when those old way of thinking coming back, I can just directly ask myself what is real at this moment.
Well, you know, in your case, since you are sharing this with me, it's really beautiful, Yutin, that you had an experience of the glory, the peace, the beauty, the love, the infinity of consciousness. So you have a first-hand experience. I refer to that as an enlightenment experience. Enlightenment experience is a peek, a glimpse into the infinite. It is not going to the infinite and staying at the infinite. It is a glimpse. It's like visiting the castle of the king or the castle of the queen, but then you go back home. You go back to the village. But this visit has very deep consequences. Now you're back in the village, but you cannot forget the beauty of the castle of the queen, and the beautiful perfumes, and the rose garden, and the beautiful colors, and the paintings, and the animals. So although you are in the village, it is really important that you recollect that there is a place of great beauty and peace and happiness. You don't forget that. Now, it's not possible to actually forget that. It can temporarily, you could have a little amnesia, but deep down, it is not forgotten. Now, when you come to contemplate, to ask yourself, when you start to ask yourself, wait a minute, where is that experience? Where did it go? What's going on now in my life? How come I lost it? All of these questions are important questions. They're part of your inquiry. They're part of your path. It is these questions that in a way have brought you here, that we are here together. It is because of your interest. There is an interest of going back to the castle, of coming to that castle and not leaving it. So there is a process to that, you think, because the conditioned mind has picked up those patterns or unhappy patterns of me and my life, and I need to work, and I need to marry, I need to make money, I need this, I need that, of a person, because of the strong identification with a person. you don't necessarily overnight drop all that and realize your true nature. There are multiple glimpses that bring you to the castle. It's not just one glimpse, but there is one glimpse that starts you on the path. It is the beginning of your journey to God, to truth, to consciousness, to the castle. There is one initial, but there are many subsequent revelations, glimpses that add up to dissolve the ignorance out of you. So although there are weeds that arise for you, rather than focusing on the weeds, rather than focusing on the emotions, rather than focusing on the thoughts, notice that to which the thoughts arise. Notice that to which the sensations arise. Rather than following the thought, oh, what's happening to me, or why is this, or why did that, notice whatever thought is arising, what is it arising to? Because the experience you had of bliss was the experience of the self, was the experience of consciousness that is not limited, that is not mortal. You experience the eternity of the self. When you turn your attention from what is happening to you to that to which all the appearances are appearing, when you turn your attention from the images on the screen to the screen, you're turning your attention to consciousness. You're turning your attention to the infinite, to the eternal. Right now, you're hearing these words. You're perceiving this perception. Turn your attention to that, to the I, to the presence, to the awareness that perceives. Don't pursue an old experience. The experience of enlightenment was just your ticket. You know, you get an invitation, you think, an invitation to come to the castle. And so that was the invitation. You don't need to hold on to the invitation now. You've already visited the castle. You see? Don't pursue an experience. Because you've already visited the castle. Now you know what the castle looks like. You know what it feels like. You've seen the rose garden. You've seen the beautiful fields. You know that experience, you see. So you already know that. You don't need to hold on to it. It's already there. It did what it needed to do. If you're pursuing experiences, then you remain in the pursuit mode. In other words, you remain running after something. And whenever you are in the pursuit mode, you are experiencing a sense of lack. You follow?
Yeah, I relate to that very well. There is just this sense that because I know that feeling fully alive, so this moment feels like not fully alive.
Yes.
And as if there is something missed here.
Yes. You know, the impression that I am this body doesn't fade away too easily. It doesn't drop in. It takes a while to fade away. So if right now, let's say there is right now a sensation of not being fully alive, ask yourself, to whom or to what is this sensation arising? Because you see, you think, this sensation of not being fully alive, there is something that perceives it, something that knows it. And that something that perceives it, that something that knows it, is what you truly are. You are not the feeling that is arising. You are the knower of the feeling. You are not an experience that is arising. You are the knower. You are the knower of that experience. And the knower of that experience is complete freedom. Like you can look at the window, you see a sunny day. Or you can look out the window and you see a rainy day. It doesn't matter. You don't get, for the knower of the perception is not affected by the perception. So rather than focusing on the non-fully alive experience that is arising, notice that this experience is arising as a sensation, a bodily sensation, and as a thought, a combination of a bodily sensation and a thought. And they're arising, they're like images on the screen. When the image arises on the screen, let's say there's an image of fire that arises on the screen does not burn. Or when there is an image of water or an ocean arising on the screen does not get wet. So there are bodily sensations and thoughts. A bodily sensation, contracted, maybe, not fully alive, and there is a thought, gee, I'm not fully alive. I used to be fully alive last year. Oh, and when I was with my friend, I was alive. Now I'm not alive. What's happening to me? All these thoughts, you see, are arising. They're images on the screen. It is really, it's available to you. It's available to you to go to the screen. So ask yourself, what am I truly?
So, is that like the good experience, the blissful experience, also something arised on the screen?
Yes, beautiful. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. But it's a happy image on the screen. When you are dreaming at night, and you are dreaming a beautiful island, beautiful music, beautiful friends, beautiful animals around you. It's a happy dream, yes? It's still a dream, but it's better than dreaming of a lion that's running after you. Yes.
Yeah, I want to believe that good experience is me.
Well,
no.
You are beyond that. You are beyond all experiences.
Oh,
So
I'm
this,
beyond that.
beyond all experiences, you are the peace and the bliss that is beyond any opposite. Because experiences, you think, have an opposite. Experience A versus experience B. Happiness versus sadness, richness versus poverty, etc. This is at the experience level. But at the consciousness level, it's just complete freedom, peace, happiness, bliss, joy, without opposite. So in a way, yes, it was an experience, but it's an experience that had a direction to it. It basically pointed to your unhappiness. It showed you not just that it's possible to be happy in a beautiful, beautiful way, but it pointed to your unhappiness. And it's basically told you, hey, you think, why are you unhappy? So now you are asking yourself, why am I unhappy? And when you ask yourself, why am I unhappy? If you ask yourself the right way, you will come to understand that you are unhappy because you imagine and you believe yourself to be a woman, to be mortal, to be born. The body is born, the body is mortal, but you are not born and you are not mortal.
Mm.
You need to ponder these words, to come not just to listen to them, don't believe them. They have to become your truth. They have to become your experience. They have to become clear to you.
Mm.
As long as they are not clear to you, that you are not born, that you are not a woman, that you are not mortal, you will continue to spin in the wheel of samsara, of life and death, life and death, life and death, without end. The end of the impression of birth and death is to realize your eternity, your deathlessness.
But does that peace and joy that I tasted in the experience have something to do with who I really am?
Yes, it has to do with the reality of consciousness. It's a taste of the absolute. But the absolute is eternal, eternal joy, peace, and happiness that has no opposite.
Thank you.
Okay, Yuting, nice talking with you. Thank you for your question. Hello, Isaac.
Hello.
Hey, Isaac. Isaac, you ask consciousness aware of itself without thought interference. That's tough to recognize. Yes, Isaac, consciousness aware of itself is not recognizable by the mind. So yes, it is tough to recognize at the mind level. The only way the mind can recognize the bliss of consciousness, meaning consciousness knowing itself, being its full self, is when the mind becomes completely still. It is the stillness of the mind, the complete stillness of the mind. It's at that level where the mind is in complete stillness that the mind knows the peace of consciousness knowing itself. But in your contemplation, you don't try to bring the mind to peace. That is too much effort. Rather than trying to bring the mind to peace, which can take thousands of lifetimes. Just contemplate right now, what am I? Right now there is something, let's not call it a thing, whatever it is, that perceives this perception. I hear these words right now. I hear these words. Now, it's true that there is an instrument of hearing, the auditory system. There is an instrument, ears of hearing. But it's not the ears that hear. It is I. I perceive. This I refers to consciousness. It does not refer to a male or female consciousness. It refers to pure consciousness. It does not refer to a consciousness that is born and that is going to die. It refers just to consciousness, to eternal consciousness, to pure presence. Go directly to this I. The reality of this experience right now is this I, this pure, borderless, infinite presence. Not an I that is born, not an I that is aging, not the I that is some flesh and bone I. No, the I that perceives this perception is beyond the instrument of perception. Like I often talk about the bird watcher that uses the binoculars to look at the birds. The binoculars do not see the birds, they're only the instrument, only the instrument. It is the astronomer, it is the bird watcher that perceives the birds. I, as consciousness, perceives this perception. It is sufficient to just stay as that. The mind will come to rest of its own. You don't need to struggle with the mind. Simply know yourself. Know yourself, know the reality, know your true self. What you truly are, what you've eternally been, what you were this morning, what you are now, what you were a year ago, just this I, not a body-mind. Body-mind was an impression that's appearing to you, like right now, there might be a bodily feeling arising to you. You are not that body. You are that perceives world, body, mind. That perceives world, body, mind is beyond world, body, mind. That knows perception is beyond perception. Perception depends on consciousness, but consciousness does not depend on what it perceives. The perceived depends on the perceiver, but the perceiver is complete freedom, does not depend on the perceived. The mind comes to rest of its own. Once the master knows, I am the master, the dog immediately recognizes the master and comes and lays at the master's feet. But when the master is confused who is the master, the dog will be the master.
Yeah, yeah, right.
The master doesn't need to know I am the master of the dog. The master simply needs to know, oh, I am the owner of this house. I am the master of this house. And everything comes along, including the dog. So consciousness doesn't try to fix the mind, doesn't try to make the mind tame. Consciousness simply recognizes itself. In recognizing itself, the mind comes to the feet of the master. The highest teaching is know thyself. Once you get a peek into the I am, that I am consciousness, I am presence, live as that. Do not leave that to go back and forth between I am a man, I am a mortal being, and I am consciousness. But if you do leave I am consciousness and go to I am a mortal body mind, make sure you come back. Come back. Come back to I am consciousness. You don't need to blame yourself. Just come back.
Come back.
Come back. I am this aware presence. I am the reality of all experiences. I am the one reality. Just keep coming back. This coming back is coming from yourself to yourself. You don't have to go anywhere. Just directly. You directly let go of the old belief and you come to presence. You say, yes, it's so obvious. I am presence. I am this aware presence. I am this aware presence. I means aware presence. And this aware presence is universal. It's one aware presence. My aware presence is not more aware presence than your aware presence, Isaac. You follow? There is no aware presence A, aware presence B. It's just pure aware presence. The images on the screen might appear, might differ. The images on the screen might differ, but it's one screen. The thoughts might be different, but it's one awareness. Might be image of my mother, and then the image of my cousin, then the image of the Hawaii beach, then the image of a beautiful rose. But the screen is the same. The awareness is the same. The images might change, but awareness is the same. Is unchanged, untouched by whatever appears out of it. Like the dreamer. The dreamer dreams all dreams, but wakes up untouched by the dreams. Even if in the dream it fell in the water, or it met, it rode a beautiful horse, and it comes back. The clothes are the same pajama, and you're not wet. So recognize yourself, and continue with that recognition. Over and over, remain recognizing yourself as that aware presence, not a thing, not a form, not an event, not a phenomenal event. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you, my friend. Thank you.
Dolores, you forget a lot. You like that, Dolores. You like to forget. You like to forget who you are, what you are. Who's making you forget, Dolores? Huh? Nobody's making you forget. You like to play, Dolores. That's okay. That's okay. But enjoy the play. Enjoy the play. Yes? Enjoy the play, Dolores. Play a happy play. Celebrate the play. Be happy. Enjoy the play. Don't maintain an unhappy play. When you notice an unhappy play, contemplate. Say, wait a minute. No. That is, no. When you gain and somebody else lose, that is not a happy play, Dolores. When you are right and the other one is wrong or less right than you, that is not a happy play, Dolores. Happy play, everybody wins. Everybody's smiling. One party, yes? One festivity, yes? One ocean, yes? All same droplets of water together, yeah? Some are going like this, some are going like that, but it's the same ocean. That's the happy dream. So courageously live the happy dream. Maintain the happy dream. Follow the happy dream. You cannot maintain a happy dream when you separate yourself as me and the other. Me and the other immediately diminishes the wholeness that you are. Because happiness is wholeness. Joy is wholeness, is totality. When you reduce it to my happiness, my joy, my this, you have reduced the infinite and you have made it finite. And that is unhappy. So enjoy, celebrate. Celebration is possible and is available to you as you recognize yourself. You recognize yourself as universal consciousness. Yes? That's the beauty. That's the love. Nice to see you, Dolores. Ananda writes, when Magdi is watching the news and Ananda is enjoying a rose garden at the same moment, the experience may vary, but not the experience. Yes? Well, yes, Ananda, the mind, there are infinite minds, yes? But it's one consciousness. So yes, mind A might be watching a soccer game. Mind B might be walking along the beach. Mind C might be at the office. Yes, meaning there are various local, different experiences. But the consciousness that knows mind A, mind B, mind C is the one consciousness. It's not Magdi's consciousness or Ananda's consciousness. It is one consciousness.
Well, I think this is great.
I think so too.
I just want.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to share that observation. You know.
Yes, yes. What's great about it is a recognition of your universality and immortality, your universality and eternity. So what's great about it is that the seed, the thorn of mortality is removed from the space. The virus of separation is removed from the space. And that's very lovely. That's our true nature. Our true nature is formless, infinite and eternal. We are infinite beings.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for your lovely gathering with us here. Happy New Year to you all. And
Magdi, Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year to you all, and we'll see you soon. Okay, namaste.
Namaste.